Hello.
Hello.
That was
Hello.
biscuits.
Wasn't
Yeah,
that
it was-
beautiful?
Beautiful as always, Tom. Really nice.
Happy 2020.
2020.
2020. Quite.
Another year.
Ollie's gone baritone.
There's a lot happening this year.
2020.
Something's happened to my voice.
We have got quite a quiet year ahead of us.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Not much going on. Not
No,
really.
can't think of anything.
No, nothing. What are you guys up to?
Yeah. Tell us your plans.
That's really it. That's what we're gonna. No, we're
And that
joking. Of
concludes our
course.
stream.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back on Thursday with exactly the same stream. No, we are going to launch streams in
Get out of here.
5 weeks.
Shut
6
up.
weeks. Is it 5 or 6 weeks?
It's 5, 6. This.
It's literally 5 weeks because in 7 days it'll be the 14th of January. And then in 4 weeks after it's the 14th of February, which is the launch date
Yeah.
of Dreams,
Yeah.
as we announced
Isn't that incredibly
last
exciting?
year. Isn't that very exciting?
Just trying to give us all a panic attack on
Yeah.
the stream. And we have the Impies coming up on the
That's
26th.
where it's going next, which is 2 and a bit weeks away.
Yeah.
And while we're on that note, we will be streaming today. Obviously, that's what we're doing.
What?
Wait, whoa!
Whoa, what's going on?
Stream,
God.
stream. We will be streaming on Thursday, and we will be streaming next week. But the week after is Impies week, so we're actually not going to have any streams that week because
That's
this
true.
room is going to be Impy Central.
Yep.
Central.
And it's going to get in, like, there's obviously it's going to have the stage built in it. There's going to
Yeah.
be doors put in, red pink carpet
audience,
everywhere,
Yeah.
seating everywhere. So there's a lot of construction
A lot
going
of
on.
redecoration needs to
And
be-
then obviously
true.
the week after, it's all going to come down and we'll be
Yeah.
back.
People
so
think
yes.
we're joking, but
No, it's happening.
Yeah.
It's happening. So yes.
there's a whole board that they can't see over here of the plan for the Impies, and like it's I mean,
If you zoom in on the reflection of
This-
my eyeballs.
yeah,
you
the
could
scaffolding Ollie is sat on right now.
Enhance.
enhance. And yes, so 26th of January is the first ever Impy Awards, which
But,
is
yeah.
very exciting.
but today we're here to see John make breakfast.
Breakfast.
Breakfast,
John,
dinner time.
you have caused a fuss in the Dreamverse. The food is now the thing.
It seems to be the thing.
It is a thing.
Thanks to Snags,
Um,
Lufid Stew and Dirty Harold
and then-
challenging me
yeah.
to a breakfast bake-off.
And that's all people make.
Yeah.
Food.
Flan.
You're making me very hungry.
And what is a Dutch breakfast, which is like toast with chocolate
saw
sprinkles on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jackson made that.
Very good.
And then
Yeah.
and
That's
beans
amazing.
on top of eggs on top of beans on top of rice. So I was like, okay.
It's madness.
And we're really excited to announce that the next season of Bake Off is being made just entirely with dreams.
Completely. Just-
You could
It's our
do
big
it.
announcement for 2020.
John, you're going to show us how you made your breakfast, aren't you?
Yes.
You ready to start?
Let's do it.
He's going to start and put us down in
do
the
it.
corner like that.
So,
Right,
of
John,
course,
how did you make your breakfast?
The most important thing when you're making a breakfast, I feel, is good ingredients.
Uh-huh.
You know, quality ingredients make a quality breakfast.
Yeah.
So, talking of ingredients, we've got a couple of eggs here. So, what you do is you get your eggs and you put them into a bowl.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
2 eggs. It's usually good to have 2 eggs, you know. 'cause
Yeah, of course.
In the morning.
Yeah, good protein,
There
isn't
you
it?
go. Yeah, that's
Yeah, eggs protein, yeah.
You know, and you want like a couple of different shapes, you know, a couple of the sort of primitive shapes.
Uh-huh. Yes.
That always I find really helps.
I love
in
a good
dreams.
cone.
I mean,
Mix a cone in.
It's got to be good. It's got to be a fresh cone though.
Yeah,
It's got to be fresh.
okay, I see, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's got to
Free
be
range.
a ripe cube as well.
Free range cone.
Free range cone. A bit of looseness.
Hairballs.
Yeah, it's really important to get looseness in there.
And what's this one? This final ingredient?
There's also looseness.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
a couple of bits of
Couple of
looseness.
looseness.
I see.
And you know, you
2
mix
sprigs.
Yeah,
you mix
teaspoon.
you mix up all the ingredients
All
you know,
together.
you know, and after a certain amount of mixing,
Yeah.
you get a breakfast. That's it. That's
Oh,
it's
it's
just that.
fantastic.
It's that easy.
Wow.
Fantastic. That is well done.
Thank you.
Well done. That's amazing.
And that's me done.
That's
so
it.
Now you know
Bye,
how to make
John.
it.
Cool.
I'll see you all
Yeah,
later.
thanks, John. That
Yeah,
was
awesome.
thanks for joining
Yeah,
us.
my
cool.
pleasure.
Brilliant. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
You little wafer. Yeah.
I'm such a scamp.
You cheeky one. That is obviously not how John made this breakfast. This is the breakfast that you made. Seb says, thanks, great stream.
Great stream. Done.
And yeah, so
Yeah.
look at that, man.
Let's talk about how I did it.
Where do you want to start?
Where do I want to start? I'll talk about some of the techniques for different things. So the first thing I think I'm going to talk about is the sort of salt and pepper pot / cutlery / plate. There's some techniques I did on that I think will be a good show. So
Sure.
before I carry on, in fact, I've now as of like 10 minutes ago, made this whole dream release to the public. So you can actually
Excellent.
go and get it, and you can remix it and do anything you want with it,
Make your own.
which would be exciting.
Which is actually your first remixable thing that you've released in Dreams, I think, because your beach pool is.
Yeah, that's not remixable, but I did like a vintage filter. But anyway,
Oh,
this
yes,
is the
of course,
first
yeah,
one of these
yeah,
things
yeah,
I've
yeah.
done. All the other things will be as well when I get around to it. Oh no, I did the Burnout. That was remixable as well.
Oh yeah.
For the Americans, you might just want to, or and other people, you might just want to explain
Oh,
all the components
yeah,
of
okay,
a full
sorry.
English breakfast.
Full English breakfast,
It
that's
is,
a good point. The Americans tend not to like the beans for some reason, but in the UK we have beans on like everything.
Oh,
So
mate, it's
beans
great.
on toast, beans. I mean, beans is like
Bit of
like students
sogginess.
just live on beans and toast. I mean,
Yeah.
we all
If
live
you
on beans and
mix
toast.
cheese and beans as well, that's
Yeah,
a good
cheese and
mix
beans.
as well. Yeah, cheese and
Brown
beans.
sauce.
Oh,
I've got a feeling that beans. I mean, maybe you can clarify this, Abby. Do beans taste different in America to they taste here? Are they like horrible in America or something, or is it just like a
Nope.
no? Okay, all right then. Okay, well, beans.
There's
Same
your
thing.
answer.
Just
Okay.
never quite been a fan of it, and it's more of like a dinner or like a cookout sort of thing. It's never been quite my deal, but no, it's not really not really
well, there we
as
go.
much of a.
Okay.
Yeah, but I like that. I've never tried the sausages in the beans.
Oh no, that's great.
That is,
Beans and sausages,
yeah,
man. Oh my
okay.
god, it's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
best. So
Yeah.
we have the fried bread,
uh-huh. Which is classic.
Which is classic. Bacon, but this is back bacon, so this will look different to our American viewers who will have
We'll
steamed
call
bacon.
it Canadian
Canadian
bacon.
bacon. Canadian bacon. Yeah. Black pudding. You don't want to know what that is. I don't particularly like it.
I
but
hate black pudding. I'm taking a stance.
It's part of a constitutional part, so
Yeah.
I put it in there for
Yeah, as-
authenticity.
I mean, probably there's maybe like one other Pennsylvanian watching, which is an aeronaut, but like our regional like breakfast meat is scrapple. Has a very appetizing name.
Scrapple.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's called that because I think after they're finished making literally everything else like that you can make with a pig, including hot dogs, that the rest becomes sort of a cornmeal and meat loaf that they cut slices of.
Okay.
Sounds like spam.
That still sounds a little bit more.
It does sound a
appetizing
little
than-
like spam, but it's our own sort of Pennsylvania
Scrapple.
scrapple.
Scrapple. I like it.
Is black pudding something like blood sausage?
Yes, that's basically
it. Is it? Isn't
It is,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Fried mushrooms.
Oh,
A hash brown.
a classic.
And-
No, actually, I don't even know why I said that.
Fried tomato, grilled tomato.
Yes.
You've got to grill it really hot, but not cook the rest. Else it just goes like mushy. There's like a-
Some people like a good plum tomato with bread, but
Yeah,
that's too
I'm
much
not-
sauce.
yeah, too much
There's-
sauce,
If you've
too
already
much
got
sauce.
some like,
Too explosive.
yeah,
explosive.
yeah,
It's just got to look at the frying pan, a very hot frying pan for
so
like
brief.
a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
That's it. And then some eggs, sunny side up. I prefer. So.
Bella Iris says, don't forget in the south we have biscuits and gravy,
Ugh.
but it's not the British kind of biscuits.
Yeah,
it's
no,
the
no.
fluffy, warm, not sweet rolls.
Yeah, no, it's and gravy is not the British kind of gravy.
Yeah, yeah, there's
a whole.
A lot of
Oh,
cultural differences
goodness.
with the
Yeah,
yeah.
no,
What
you
is
don't
the
want to
gravy?
know.
Okay.
It's a
Also,
different
but
colour.
if I was having like a southern breakfast, I would also want grits, which I have introduced several of them all
Oh,
over to, and
yeah.
they don't
Best
appreciate
word.
it as much as I do.
No.
And of course a cup of tea, a nice hot cup of tea.
Yes,
so-
yes. Which someone criticised. They said the tea bag was not in there long enough, or something
Did
like
they?
that. Yeah, I
Well,
don't know.
I
I'm so
did
sorry.
it to the sort of level I would have.
You
my
would have tea like
Everyone
that.
has their tea in a sort
Yeah.
of different way.
It looks good.
Yeah, as long as you put the tea bag in first.
Also,
it's
I
fine.
love your cutlery.
Oh, thank you.
It's great cutlery.
Thank you.
It's really nice.
Thank you. And it's on, this slate to look
Yeah.
all sort of posh and fancy.
Yeah,
And we've got, of course, the beach sauces in the background.
yeah,
which
Brown
is
sauce and
JB.
beach sauce.
Looks like 13, but
yeah. But that's great. That's such good, just genius. I love sauce.
good.
Like I
Good bit of sauce.
love a good condiment.
Oh, yeah.
And
It's good to know.
yeah, and so I would smash
Yeah.
those bowls onto my breakfast.
Yeah, I mean, as having lived in Southern California for a long time, hot sauce would be my addition.
Oh,
like I think.
interesting.
I could add some hot
Yeah.
sauce. I could add some hot sauce.
But then when you walk in to visit me, you went and had chicken and waffles.
Ugh.
Which is
That was too
lunch
much
or
chicken. That was,
dinner.
Was
it's
actually,
basically like
this isn't
KFC
too
and
much for you,
pancakes.
but that was too much.
it's because
It
this is
confused me,
breakfast.
Yeah.
Like this can be, although
This is
yeah,
good breakfast.
this
When I was
is-
a builder, I'd have this like every day, like
Good
3
thing.
times a day kind of. This is like the go-to.
yes,
Um,
it's so weird seeing the imps because it's so
yeah, they're
like
like just bouncing around on the egg.
Ah.
Bloop, bloop, bloop. Just
That's
slathering themselves in butter. Oh, butter. Okay, anyway, we should talk about some of the techniques before we run out of time.
Yes,
So the first thing I was going to talk about, like I mentioned, was the sort of cutlery items here that are made out of this white and blue material. And you can see I've made it look as if it's sort of that slightly translucent ceramic kind of look. And the way we did that is, if we're going to remix it, let's remix it as a showcase. Sounds good. Done. And we can have a look at how we did some of these bits. And I'm just going to delete some logic out here. There's a bunch of logic in here, and that's just making it blurry at the beginning, so we can get rid of that. Okay, so the way I did this is I'm just going to start a brand new one almost, so we can see the sort of technique. And I use the same thing for the plate and the cutlery and everything else. So we choose a sort of off-white colour in this particular case, and I sort of soft blended top of it like that, and slightly smaller. And then I sort of sliced the top and bottom off.
Right.
Again, with like a tiny bit of soft blend. It's not going to be the same as these. I'm just sort of.
Yeah, that would also be a nice
demonstrating,
shaker shape. You know.
Yeah.
But to get this sort of pattern, the first thing I do is I make it a bit shiny. So if you look at the settings I have here, I've got it 20% down to 20% of the shininess factor, which makes it quite shiny but not ridiculously shiny.
Yeah.
And I've got some waxiness, which is like that sort of translucency to, you know, because there's a bit of subsurface scattering that goes on where the light enters inside the ceramic and bounces back out.
Right.
And that's already starting to look similar to this.
Yeah.
But then the crucial thing is when I go into paint mode and I choose a sort of dark blue colour, slightly desaturated, yeah, something like that. And I put two nice neat lines, just turn the grid down a little bit so I can get them in the right place. One like that. Let's make them a tiny bit thinner. Okay, on there like that, on there. What I then do is I ever so slightly in the exact same spot is just turn up the soft blend a little bit. See how the
Oh, yeah.
just a little bit, and then you turn down the opacity a little bit, and you do one there and one there, and then you do the same but with white instead. So then you get the grey colour, and you do that in the middle of them. You see how it's in the middle there, and again you turn down the opacity so it goes almost unnoticeable. It's just a tiny bit.
But
And it makes it look like the light is bouncing through the blue and going into the white, and vice versa. And that's how I got the sort of, you know, the forks. You can see they've got that almost like plasticky.
Yeah, because they have like a coating on them, don't they?
Yeah.
That is a really nice detail.
So that's how I got that.
Do you set the lighting first? Or do you just do this as a blank template?
I tend to set the lighting near the beginning, and I jump back and I use the studio lighting if I'm doing some, just really working on some texture on the paint. But it's always good to do things in light that you're going to have it in, or at least an approximation, just at the beginning, throw a light up there, and it gives you an idea of what it's going to look like. You're going to get the bounces and stuff.
So we had about 30 community members at the studio over the weekend, and you showed everybody how you did the wood for the table. Can you show that one? Because that was really cool.
So you can see here we've got the sort of, it's actually catching the light. This has geometry, it's not just a painting. And the way we did that, it's actually it's easier than you would think. Is we're doing new sculpt. And I'm going to choose like a wood colour. And then you select sphere. And then while you're scaling it, you can make it into a half sphere, and you can hollow the inside out. So if you hollow the inside out, look at that. That might be, you need the sides to be quite thin, so get it into a point where the sides are quite thin and it's sort of really long. So it looks a bit like a sort of hood like this. And then all I did was, in smear mode, just smear a few different streaks like that. Doesn't have to be very neat, you just kind of, bloop. That's about it. And it looks like a strange mess at the moment. But then if you turn the grid back on, and you go to negative shape, and you get a square or cube, and you cut it out. See, nothing happens there, but if you just turn up soft blend just a little tiny bit like that, just enough, and then basically you
make the plank,
mill yourself a bit of wood. You know, you cut
so cool.
the bit of wood out of the tree, as it were, like that.
That's really cool.
And
that's really cool.
essentially how
That's
I
such a
did that.
different way of making.
And then to sort of final it off as well, to make it to really sort of sell it, is if you go to the style mode here, and you select the long thin one, because this is going to represent the sort of grain in it. And make sure it's that particular fleck. You get the comb, and you comb it in the direction of the way you think the wood grain would be going. And then finally, you've got the inner colour. If you just make that inner colour really dark, like that, then you get the sort of grain on it. And you can see I've not quite combed it the right way, so I'm just going to quickly jump back into style mode.
Yeah, I mean, what a mess, John. What a mess.
Yeah.
Ruined it. Do it with the volume. There we go. And there we go. We get the nice bit of wood, which can go on the rest of our table.
That is so cool. That is so cool.
Casey Jones says already the stream is worth it for the plank.
Make it a tiny bit shiny as well to blend it in with the other bits of wood.
Amazing.
So yeah, that's the
That's
wood.
really cool.
It's quite fun going for these individual techniques.
Yeah. The other one I remember you showing that was cool was the galvanized metal.
Oh,
in the,
yeah, that's-
Yeah, someone called out the condiment tin.
Yeah, let's do that. So I've tried to make it look like galvanized metal, which is where they coat metal with, I think it's like electrolysis, and it coats it with a plating which stops it rusting. It's usually,
Right.
So it's usually just like steel underneath, and it's to stop it.
Yeah.
So
Stop
it's
it
down in the
rusting.
rain.
So a famous thing that are usually galvanized is like the air conditioning corridors you get in buildings. You know, like you see
Yeah.
the hero
Oh,
action heroes.
yeah,
all
yeah,
designed
yeah, yeah.
sort of- So what I do is I kind of make
I hope we see a lot of really good like air vent games after
Yeah.
this, John.
just loads of air vent games. So I'm going to make an air vent. Let's go into that, and then we'll cut out the inside quickly. And run that through to the end. There we go. Okay, so we got our air vent, which is clearly the wrong colour. So the first thing I do is paint it a base grey colour. So while we're in sculpt mode, we go to paint, and we choose a base grey. And with grey, in this kind of particular grey, I like to add like a tiny bit of blue to it as well. It makes it look a bit more natural, I think, instead of just completely
Just grey. Yeah.
Okay, so we've done that. This is where it gets exciting. If you choose the pyramid and you grab it by the middle, and then with the move controllers, you double tap circle, and it goes into. It's got that little icon for spinning,
Yeah.
and you can basically set it spinning.
Oh, yeah,
Like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Now, if you're using the DualShock, you can use the touchpad to
The
spin
touchpad, and you
object.
can
Yeah.
swipe the touchpad. That's right. Okay, so once I'm happy with how it's spinning, I can then choose some colours. So the way I'm going to choose the colours here is I'm actually going to drag down some light, medium colours, some really dark colours, maybe even go as far as black, and some light colours like that. And then you set that spinning. So now I'm getting random colours on the end of the brush, you see?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And then finally, if you set it onto surface snap, it's now going to be on the surface, and then I just basically go nuts and just smear it. One word of a warning is don't smear too much and for too long, because it starts adding up to thermo after, like, you know, if you're smearing for like longer than a couple of minutes continuously.
Yeah,
then you're in
I
trouble.
think I will ask the question that's been on a lot of people's minds is what is the thermo usage on your breakfast?
So at the moment, I think because I up-resed it for the like really close-up photos, it's around 30, 35 or something. But there's one that I put, which is 19%,
Yeah.
where from a distance, like basically here, you can't tell the difference. It's only when you get to here that you really notice the
Right.
Yeah.
So you can really crank it right down using the sculpture detail tool.
And this took you, the original one took you how long?
About 6 hours. About 6 hours.
Just 5 hours longer than breakfast?
Yeah. And then all I did then was make it metallic, and then it's actually nice to get the looseness texture, so I'm actually going to loosen it up a bit to give it that sort of galvanized surface. Maybe a bit too much. Tiny bit tighter. There we go. And that's basically how I got that texture over there.
That's amazing.
That's really cool.
It looks so good.
And you know, when it catches the light right, it just reflects off all the
Yeah,
right bits.
looks great.
So that's that one.
Very cool.
Let's see, what else have we got?
Ooh.
Ooh.
We can ask if
Yeah.
what people want to see
Yeah.
next. I mean, I know you're super proud of your bacon.
Yeah, I do like the bacon. That's actually.
Let's talk
just
about bacon.
That's just
Show the
hand
bacon.
painting all the bits. But one of the things that I did here, there's actually a red light under
Yeah.
here, which is making the plates red.
Isn't it?
Which is as if the light is like coming through the bacon or bouncing off the bacon and just
Bacon
like,
bounce light.
yeah. And the same with the tomato here. There's red light coming through the tomato and then bouncing and turning the side of the butter and everything red there. It's just there's a red light.
So good.
Yeah, so the bacon itself It's really rubbish on the other side. Look at the other side. Look how horrendous.
Oh, look at
God,
oh my
this is
God! Put it
shockingly
away.
bad bacon, John.
Goodness me.
I didn't have time to do the other side. This is actually made of two sculptures. The meaty bit in the middle, which is slightly less translucent than the fattier bits around the outside. And the way I did that was I sculpted like the whole shape of the bacon as one piece, then duplicated it exactly on the same spot,
Yeah.
and then chopped out the middle of the fatty bit and chopped out the fatty bit of the meaty bit.
Yes.
You know, it sort of inverted it. It's actually the same on the bread and butter here, as in it's two sculpts, one which is the butter and one which is the toast, which are essentially identical but in the exact same spot to get the
That's cool. It looks doesn't yeah.
So it's just sort of thinking about like the tiny little the details and like imagining how they were to translate. Like I think the best bit of advice is when you're doing something like this is just look at reference and really look at it and go, oh, but that bit's like, don't imagine what it looks like.
Yeah.
How much
Really
breakfast
look at
did
it.
you withhold from eating to use as reference during doing that?
Yeah.
Too much breakfast.
Oh my goodness. Basket Snake asks, is that Pig Detective on the plate?
No.
Basket Snake.
Definitely
Now
not.
we put up with your puns.
Yeah.
We like your puns, but
Come
don't
on.
come on now.
Come on.
That is too dark.
Too much.
Seven Lottie are here.
Too much.
Imagine if Ed was doing audio today.
Yeah, like no.
No.
Wow.
And then here you see there's like little specks of salt because there's a salt shaker there, and on pepper.
That is an obscene level of detail, John.
Yeah.
Pepper sticks to the top of pepper pots because of the static, but salt doesn't do that. Salt, just like
Of course it
bounces
doesn't.
away. So you don't get much pepper spilt around, but you just get pepper stuck to
So
Are you
it's-
mildly paranoid that like John is just like hyper observing everything all the time?
Yeah. And his actual like creation library at home is just these most insane, like
just
detailed things.
I'm always walking around and my wife's always going, "You're looking at the like floor paving again, aren't you?" And I'm like, "What?"
No, not at all.
The tea as well here has the surface tension, so if you notice on your cups of tea or drinks, they will curve up towards the edge ever so slightly, and I've painted the edge slightly lighter. If I pull it out, you'll see the lie that it all is. Let's turn into that one. There we go. It's hollow at the bottom, and you can see how it's painted around the
Tea-chunk.
outside. Yeah, T-chunk.
It's like a jam tart.
You even did the really nice lines in the china. I saw that when you lifted that up there. Like,
Ooh, hold it.
yeah,
there's
look
like-
at that.
It's all got like all the
Mate.
little scratches. In fact, if I go to here
Sure.
and let's get rid of the. There you go. That's got all like the the.
Yeah,
you
from
can-
knife.
you
Yeah,
know,
yep.
It's not that fancy. This restaurant. It's sort of medium. Run
Your
of the
eggs
Oh,
and
yeah,
Easter
yeah,
eggs.
no.
Yeah, eggs are Easter eggs. The mushroom here was, these are lots of little bits that I just multi-cloned around, if I can grab hold of them, and I just copied them everywhere. So I kind of did that and then went like that basically a whole bunch of times.
Yeah, makes
And then
sense.
soft blended on the top to make it look a bit more natural.
Fair few people asking about the eggs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we should save the eggs for last or that. Just show the eggs.
Yeah, we can show the
It's
eggs.
really
We
cool.
can show the eggs. So the eggs, we should just make a third egg.
You make us do it, man.
We'll make a third egg. It won't
Make
look
a
as good
third
as
egg.
these because we don't have a huge amount of time, but let's do it. So the first thing I'm going to do is get a sphere, and I'm going to choose a slightly off white. It's good when you're doing something white not to go straight for maximum white because it gives you no room to add white later if you want to. So never go like right to the top unless you know you definitely 100% want nothing but completely and utter white. Then I think surface snap is still on, so I turn it off. I want it to sort of match the shape of the things around. So to
Right.
begin with, I'm just going to overly soft blend in this egg, and I'm going to try and sort of roughly match the shape of the surface underneath. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to sort of tune that up a bit in a bit. Okay, something like that. There we go. And now I'm going to copy the settings of this egg, and I do that by clicking on that egg, clicking on that one, tweaking this one, the one with the correct settings, and you can just quickly alter a tiny weeny bit like that, and it just like copies it across. You see, so it's good to have like a reference. That's how I like make sure.
Oh,
the
it's like
settings
copy and
are
paste.
Copy paste
Okay.
almost. Yeah,
So you went for shine, for
Oh.
waxiness.
yeah, quite really
or-
shiny and quite waxy.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, there's one tip before we carry on with the eggs here. To give them that quite realistic look, I've used the sun and sky setting here. I've made the sun particularly big, and the sun is the only thing that can do it. Other lights give off small little reflections, and it's usually by default it's down here. I mean, it still looks good, but it looks more
it's fine. I mean,
plasticky.
it's fine, John.
Yeah.
But if you make the sun bigger, it just gives you that extra sort of. It almost looks like a room reflection, like it's reflecting like a large window or something like that instead of a point light. So, my advice is often to make the sun bigger in most of your scenes, actually. Okay, so we've got the beginnings of an egg. So I'm now going to negatively soft blend, and I'm just going to sort of add a few bits of details. And it's important that you've got, with stuff like this, natural food, it's the sort of imperfections that make it look more realistic.
Yeah.
If it's a perfect round egg, it's not going to look very real. I mean, it looked like
No
a
one would
very tasty
believe
egg,
it.
but they
No.
wouldn't believe it. And then Uncanny Valley starts, and you're like, oh no, that's not a real egg. And then make sure you sort of cut out a little bit under here so it doesn't look like they're the same thing.
Yeah.
It looks like it's resting on it as opposed to being inside of it. Let's draw a few bits out like this, and I won't go the whole way, I just do bits. And then on the edge, we've got the sort of burnt bits, or crispy bits.
Yeah.
So the way we do that is positive, surface snap,
I do enjoy a good fried egg.
make sure it's in smear so I can do a few at the same time. And then we just choose a sort of burnt colour. Luckily we already have one over here, so we can select that one. And then I'm just going to paint around the edge a little bit. And you can be quite sort of messy at here because it's supposed to look like it's burnt. Just fill that edge up like that. And don't do it the whole way around, do it in sort of patches, else it will look unnatural. And it depends how, some people perfectly cook their eggs without burning the side, but I'm not that good.
It adds a bit of crisp.
Add a bit of
It's
crispiness. Yeah, I like it. And then we want to choose paint mode and choose a slightly more yellowy version of this colour, because eggs tend to sort of turn yellow as they're cooking. And then we're going to just put that here, soft blend it, and turn down the opacity quite a bit, so it's quite sort of subtle, but it's just catching that edge like that. Then what we want to do is add some bubbles.
Yeah,
So-
saw someone ask about these on
I
Twitter.
really like the bubble technique.
The bubbles are cool. So we go back into stamp mode, negative, and we turn off surface snap. And we're going to choose almost white again, but with a tiny bit of yellow because we're down near the edge here. Not quite that much, almost. There we go. Yeah, that's perfect. And choose a sphere. That. And then we just start chopping out a couple of where you think bubbles would appear. Again, this is really good. Look at some reference photos. Look at your egg you've cooked, and where do bubbles appear? How many are there? Are they large? Are they small? And it really helps you find out what's realistic and what's not.
Yeah.
And then towards the
Egg
middle,
cells just have a spike this
Yeah.
who knew? And then they sometimes appear elsewhere, so like that. Then what I do is I go back to positive mode. I'm happy John now. I'm positive.
Happy John. Were you
then-
sad, John, when you were negative sculpting?
Yes, absolutely. It's just my whole attitude changes. And then you fill in those holes like that. Those lines. Maybe pick the colour that's already there a little bit so it doesn't look so out of place. And then crucially, to make them look translucent instead of just being blobs, is we go back to paint mode and we choose a darker grey, and you put it snap bang in the middle like that. You soft blend it outwards a little bit, and then turn the opacity down so it just turns the sort of middle of it a bit grey. That's not too much, and then it just looks like it's sort of going through to, like, it just looks like a thin bubble then, as opposed to an egg, solid lump of egg basically.
Yeah.
So you do all those, and you also think about how this egg is lying here. There's it's quite shady down here, so you could almost tweak that whole bit to be a bit grey there. Maybe over here in the corner, you just paint it a bit grey. You almost paint where you think the egg is sort of thin. In fact, because this is orange, you pick that and you almost paint the orange of the yolk
Smart.
underneath.
Give it a little. It makes it look more translucent
Makes it look
without actually
more
needing to.
translucent.
Yeah. It's really cool.
Cogs return.
Yeah. Oh.
Wait a minute.
And then finally, to do the yolk itself, there's a couple of cool things here. Is what I like to do is we're going to.
John, someone asked if you're a good chef at home.
Yeah. This is the
I'm
important.
okay.
Yeah, you okay?
Me and my wife Hannah, we love cooking together.
Yeah.
Like we always cook all our meals together. It's really good fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm a good chef. I do enjoy cooking though,
Right.
and I don't burn things very often. Okay, and
That's
then,
good. That's the mark of a good chef.
An egg consists of two things. It has like this middle white and an outside white. Do you notice when you crack it, there's like the runny white and then the sort of stiffer white.
Yes.
So the stiffer white sometimes
Eggs are
takes
weird, aren't
longer to cook. So if you make a slightly darker grey and use this shape and then soft blend it there, it looks like the inner egg basically.
Yeah.
Then we get the yolk, which is that colour, and we just want a nice sphere, but we want a sort of like slightly squished sphere like that. And we put that in the middle of that grey section like that, and you soft blend it, but ever so slightly, not too much, maybe about there. Again, so it looks like the light of the yolk is translucing through. Back to paint mode, and this is the cool bit. This is the bit that sort of sells it for me.
This is the cool bit.
Yeah. Just this bit.
Just this bit. If you choose the donut shape, make a thin ring, and I've chosen a dark grey. Can you see the ring of dark grey then?
Yeah.
Line that dark grey up with the outside of the yolk. Put it onto full opacity so you can see when you've done that. And then soft blend it and turn the translucency or the opacity down a little bit. And you click it there, and it just adds that sort of believable, like
But it's part of it.
around the edge of it like that. And then
Wow.
lastly, bits of pepper.
Yeah, pepper, obviously.
Obviously,
Of
pepper.
course, of course.
This one's super easy. Stamp mode. Go get your pyramid shape. You've already seen the technique that I used earlier, where.
Casey Jones wants one more time
Spin it.
explaining the moves grip adjustment shortcut.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll do that in a second. Put on surface snap, and then just like bits of pepper, 2 big bits of pepper, and you just like pepper it around, like that.
I'm very hungry now.
So hungry.
3 eggs. Gotta love the eggs. And with a bit of time and care, that's how
man.
that's made. So the grip adjustment,
Yeah.
one more time, is with when it's not on surface snap, is with the offhand move controller. You press circle over the shape, and is it circle? I'm getting confused. Yeah, and the trigger of the offhand, so it's kind of like muscle memory.
Both.
And that brings that option off. And then with your primary move,
Sorry.
you then hover over one of the grab points, and you'll see it flash, and you pull the trigger on that controller,
And that changes
and
the
then that changes it. Yeah.
Amazing.
I really like grabbing the middle bit. It means things work better on grid for me.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the control is off the top of my head for DS4, but I know if you go to indreams.me and go on the help and the search, it has it written in there.
Casey says thank you.
My pleasure.
Oh,
And lastly, for this, I think it's like the beans.
Beans.
yeah, the beans.
So the way we did the bean, if I pulled them out, you see the lie again that it is.
Oh my goodness.
What I do is I just make a little bit of bean here. How much time have we got there?
You got time.
Like, yeah, we got time.
Plenty of time.
So, in fact, I will leave those beans so I can copy the settings in a second. Let's put those out of the way. Over there, beans. So
I like that you did the plate around the side
yeah,
of them
that's
too to get the texture.
Yeah, that's a really
That's
important bit.
really clever.
So you choose like a dark red bean sauce for the middle.
Of course.
And we're just gonna stamp one down so we have a thing. Again, I'm going to do the same, duplicating the settings technique. So super shiny bean sauce. Okay. And now what I do is I soft blend the bean sauce, and I kind of try and get it so it a bit like how I did with the tea earlier. It kind of like blends up and into things. You imagine it, the sort of surface tension of it, pushing it up against stuff. So I'm going to cover this sausage and bean sauce. Okay, something like that. I won't do the whole thing. Then we want to go to paint mode. Select the colour of the thing that it's going into.
Yeah.
and then we can paint the edge of the colour near it like this. Now you often find, because this is quite translucent, the painting will be lighter,
Yeah.
so you often have to choose a slightly darker version of the colour you've selected and keep going until when you're painting it matches using your eyes, if that makes sense. You know, you look at it and compare and you're like, oh yeah, the sauce looks almost the same colour as the sausage now. This would be good for anything like slime or anything that's sort of slightly translucent.
Yeah.
So you go all the way around, and whether it's matching a particular thing. So like here now it's blue, so we're going to select that blue.
Someone in the chat says the only issue is you're not using the sausages as a breakwater for the beans.
That has
That's like-
been said a lot.
You keep is that keeping them from the
Yeah.
other?
Keeping them from
From
everything
each
else,
other.
yeah. Because then, like, if you've
it's
got
their
sauces,
choice if they want to mix it.
Ah.
It's actually it's a quote from
I've found
a,
another compartmentalized eater.
a fun BBC comedy show from a while back. You
yeah.
can Google and you can watch the whole skit. It's very funny.
But it's a smart move too, because like especially if you've got other sauces on there, you might not want those
Oh,
combined
for
with the
sure.
beans.
No, of course not.
I think I've learned more about an English breakfast in the
Yeah.
last week than I had in my entire
You saw some
Sorry.
different
Year and a half
variety. Yeah,
living
yeah.
here.
So we've almost done that, and then it's important to get the little details, else it doesn't sell it. If you actually miss one thing, then you're like, you may as well have not done the rest.
Oh yeah.
So
That looks so good. Like that really makes such a big difference. It's
Yeah.
really cool.
and again, take your time on this bit when you're doing your own. I'm just sort of rushing it through, and then we add the beans. And the beans are the really easy, really fun bit. Is we just choose a sort of beanie-ish colour, and we get a sphere. We slightly elongate the sphere, or bean shape, and then you add soft blend, but not much, just a little bit,
Just so it's in there.
just so it's in there. What's important now is when you do this, you make sure that the beans aren't inside of each other, because that's not bean leavable.
Oh,
You've just got to make them so they're not
Hit the end button.
oh yeah.
Bad yolk.
Sorry.
bad.
Ah.
And again, they don't want to be intersecting with the sausage that could be there. So, and put them at different depths to get that sort of variety, and slightly different sizes and rotations. Try not to get them to intersect too much. So it's often good to do the outside ones first, so you know that they're not going to intersect with the imaginary plate that's underneath the bean sauce.
Yeah. Man, beans. Great. They are just.
So it makes call the airstrike.
Call the airstrike.
Look at them.
And it's good to have the ones that are just under the surface, you see.
Oh, this is one of those things that kind of triggers that, people that like the bumpy, the bit.
The circle phobia. The phobia of have you seen the?
Yeah.
It's the porous thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one where you've got if you've got circle clothes next to each other. That's my mate.
Does
has a
anyone
phobia
find
of
that satisfying? Is there like an opposite to that?
I find this satisfying.
It's Ollie.
Yeah.
Ollie finds beans. And that's basically how you do the beans, really. And then when I'm looking at it here, it looks like the bean sauce is a bit red. So you could go and paint it a bit more. You can also sort of tune it here with this, sort of add a bit of desaturation. Maybe darken it a little bit. You want to.
Beans.
It's good to tune it. This is a really good way to tune your sort of colouring to make sure it sits in the environment and is believable. So yeah, that's how I did.
Wow.
That's basically how I did.
Wow, that's
breakfast. I think that sort of sums up most of the
pretty much
techniques,
everything.
actually. Yeah.
Is there anything else about John's breakfast that you would like to know?
This is the time to ask.
Yeah.
Breakfast techniques.
The Spawn on Me folks say
Deptford.
they can't wait for your ice cream sundae.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Food challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we are of course going to challenge everybody to make their own breakfast and share it with us.
Yeah.
This week is going to just.
Doesn't have to be this.
Yeah.
We already saw sprinkle toast.
Well,
We saw-
you may wanna wait until the next. I'm not going to spoil anything, but you may want to wait until the next community jam to submit your food creations.
Oh really? Okay then.
Just
wow.
saying. Because when this started to happen, I was like, no.
Oh.
Sorry, Tom.
It's like we work in the same office, but we don't talk.
Well, it was happening over the break. It happened without me knowing.
Did you just give us a good technique for cloth here,
I
cloth
did.
napkins while we were?
Yeah, totally. So you just use the curve tool to make one shape like this, and then just multi-clone it across, and it even gives you the sort of material weave, and then you just get into paint mode and paint it the nice blue that I chose. Whatever blue that one was, maybe that one, who knows.
It's really nice. You can see doing some soft blend, get the different colors there.
Exactly.
Yeah. See, someone did ask, and I don't know if you have a quick technique for this, but I've seen it come up a couple times in the chat. How do you make a noodle?
Oh, a noodle.
Oh.
I haven't tried making a noodle. That's actually quite tricky.
Back next week with
That's
noodles.
No, let me try.
Okay.
Let me try a
What
technique.
kind of noodles?
I like this. I think we can end this with we can challenge John to make
Yeah.
a noodle.
I don't think this is going to work very well, but so
Cliffhanger.
the thing with noodle, unlike spaghetti and lots of other things, is the shape is it's sort of, if you took a cross section of it, it's elongated. It's like a rectangle. Right? You know. So to do
Yes.
that, you know what I mean. Yeah,
I know what you
it's-
mean. I know what you're saying.
So first off, let's choose a rectangular kind of shape, and it's good because they're sort of soft on the side. So this would be a good shape for that. Let's choose a noodle-ish colour, and they're slightly like a yellowy.
They're yellow, pale, aren't they?
Yeah, maybe a bit more pale. So that's fine for me. We can tune that later.
Oh, PJB Gamer, happy birthday.
Happy
It's your
birthday.
birthday.
Happy
Happy birthday
birthday.
to
Happy
you.
birthday.
Birthday breakfast.
Birthday breakfast. And then I'm going to stamp one down. Oops, not just stamp one down. I'm going to stamp one down, and I'm going to add a tiny bit of soft blend as I stamp it down. Annoyingly, you won't be able to see how much soft blend you've added. So let's do one and see how much that is. No, too much. Let's go for like 10%, I'm guessing. There we go. Okay. So now I'm going to multi-clone it. And because of the soft blend, it means I won't have to do quite as many multi-clones as usual. And I'm going to sort of try and bend into a noodle shape.
It's true that we did not specify what kind of noodle. There are many.
There
different kinds of
are many
noodles.
noodles. This is my imagination. Again, this is why it's really
John's
important.
imagination noodles is using this noodle.
Yeah. Oh, you little noodle.
Oh my god. It's really important to use reference photos because this is going to look like a imagining of noodles as opposed to
Quick, someone bring John some noodles.
Yeah.
actual noodles. But yeah, it depends what noodles you're
I see.
going for.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there's quite a
there's
variety.
a whole bunch of
But this
noodles.
might get people noodling on what?
Noodling
I'm
on
gonna. I just can't really. It's terrible.
There was an intention there, and that's what matters. Yeah, you had the drive.
So I'm going to do something like that, and then I'm going to use the looseness to loosen it up a little bit because actually the size it's going to be quite loose. I'm going to make it shiny, like nice moist noodles, translucent.
There's a noodle in my doodle, and his name is Minky Boodle.
Oh, okay then.
And there's
Okay.
also a question about how you did the copy paste with the settings. So if
Oh,
you
yeah,
could go
if
back
you-
over
yeah.
that for everyone, would be really cool.
Let's get that one.
That is a very time-saving.
Yeah, that was
That
a
is
proper.
true.
That for me was a proper. Oh.
I keep there's.
That plate.
Oh,
just,
it's because there's steam in the way. It's my steam.
oh, your tea
and
tea
it's,
steam.
you kind of have. Okay,
It's
we're just
because
have-
you thought of too many
We're
details.
gonna have it on the ground here. I keep grabbing the tea steam. Goddamn tea steam. Anyway, you'd probably just get a whole bunch of noodles like this and perhaps try and intertwine them with each other.
If there is time, someone would also like to see the tomato.
Oh, the tomato. Okay then. Dope. And then probably once you've done a few, grab all of them, mix
Yeah.
them together.
Dreams have
Clones
meanings.
noodles.
This is getting past a joke now.
Oh god. And the
Something
the
like that.
airstrike.
Yeah, we should have a rule that if there's 5 really bad puns, the
We need a
stream-
good airstrike.
Yeah,
And then you kind of
Sound effect.
noodles.
I want a soundboard.
The fork going into the noodles.
I'm happy
Something
with
like
it.
you know.
Yeah, that
like
works.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you throw some peas and some bits of carrot and stuff, and
Wow.
it look more
Carrot.
You know, well, I don't know. Whatever goes in noodles.
There's some choices happening. Some culinary choices happening
Yeah.
here.
Oh, dear. So the multi-clone is
Yeah.
if you clone something, it's like I keep,
like that.
There's
Like-
so much tea.
Tea.
Go away, tea.
Anyone for tea?
If you clone it with the move controllers, you press on your main either triangle to go inside cloning or triangle to go outward cloning like that. And with the DS4, it's left and right on the D-pad.
Oh, I think I'm in the
Oh,
settings.
the copy and paste.
The tweak settings.
You know how you did with your eggs.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 Sure. Yeah. So the way I do that is you grab one thing that you want to change the setting of, and then one thing that has the settings that you want. It doesn't matter which order you do it in. And then you tweak the one with the correct settings, and all you do is use the increment up and down, which on the Move controller is circle or X, and you just go up and down once on all the settings that you want to copy across, and it will copy across. And now my slate is the same.
Ew, the weird
It's
tomato
more like
text.
the
That's
mushroom.
upsetting.
Glassy.
Yeah, glassy.
Ugh.
That's amazing.
The tomato was just
It's a real, yeah.
it's a weird. The tomato is quite a tricky one, but it's something along the lines of a red sphere, surprisingly. And then I used this shape here and kind of made it something like that, and then soft blended it in to kind of get those, because when when tomatoes cook, they shrivel and wrinkle up. So it's just go around and put a bunch of these in like this, so it looks like it's sort of shriveled. Then I chop the top off. Again, this is where it's really important to get reference photos for what the inside of a tomato looks like. It's kind of like split into 3 chambers, and it has like seeds. It's kind of mad. Chop out a hole in the middle of it because of the way they work, and it's like the yellow seeds. Again, this is going to look awful because this was one of the pretty tricky ones, actually, surprisingly. Something like that to get the seeds. This elongated soft blend.
And throwback to your strawberry seeds.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we did
Yeah.
watch John once make all the pips for strawberries, so.
It was terrible. Oh my god.
Terrible. You knew that there was a cheaper way to do it. You're like, I'm gonna do it all by hand.
Once you started though, you can't.
I feel like you got
stop.
really hooked into it.
Yeah.
It's game over, and then it has something along those lines. Again, ridiculously rough. But what brought this tomato alive is I'd made the sort of tomato like this. It didn't even look that good. I was just like, oh yeah, it's kind of fine. Let's copy the settings.
Martin is deeply unsettled by your tomato.
Ah, okay then.
Yeah.
And then to give it the sort of grill marks, I believe I just chose a very dark negative subtract elongated cylinder, which I put soft blend on a little bit like that. Not too much soft blend, because actually when a tomato gets cooked, it's either like burnt or it's not burnt. It doesn't really.
Not much in between there.
There's not much in between. And then with positive mode, smear this time. Smear in sphere and surface snap. I just kind of like this.
Oh.
Literally just
Wow, that makes a huge difference.
near the edge. Kind of, imagine where the frying pan would, or griddle or whatever it is, you're sort of tell the narrative in your head, like what was it that cooked it? That's the important thing,
Yeah.
Was it
Every
cooked in an oven?
breakfast should tell a story.
Think like a tomato.
But it's like
How was I cooked?
it's really important you have the narrative and everything. Like when I was doing this, I was thinking, well, it's a kind of like bar. There's a chip here. It's got like everything I was trying to think of is like what would happen in this restaurant. Like I even made the cup, not that you can see anymore, not match the rest of it because the cup was dropped and smashed.
Oh,
Oh, of
beforehand,
course.
and now
yeah.
it's just a plain white cup. 'Cause
The
I didn't get
law.
Anything else? Yeah.
The law.
Anyway, so you just carry on smearing.
I had no idea
around
your
like
breakfast
that,
story went so
basically.
deep.
Yeah,
That's
it's
inspiring, I would say.
But it's good to sort of think of the backstory, and it makes it more believable. But
That's awesome.
basically that, but just taking more time to do it. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow,
That
that is so cool.
Thanks.
Does anyone have? We've got a few minutes left. Does anyone have any more questions about John's breakfast? Because you're gonna need to ask them now.
So I'm never going
Never,
to breakfast
yeah,
again.
There will be no more questions about
Yeah,
breakfast,
never, ever, ever.
English
Oh,
or otherwise.
Casey has asked about the thermo. You did cover it off.
Like
Like half.
2-ish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You said like 30. Yeah, 30.
Yeah. So in fact, what I do is I just exit and I won't save. Don't save. And remix it again. Let's go into that. Was it that one? Yeah. Remix that one. Kill that. So at the moment you can see it says 39% there, and if we go into play mode, it looks like that. And I actually had it so it was 39. So when you're in this, when the focus gets pulled towards them, it all looks really nice and tight. But if I go to the sculpture detail tool, negative, you can see I spent a lot on this. This is expensive, and that's to make the writing really nice and crisp in case people went and had a look at it. But actually, you can turn those right down. So let's just turn everything down a bit. These guys can be quite loose because they're quite smooth. The bacon needs to be a bit tighter because of the detail on it. So I'm just going to turn these down a little bit. The plate saves you a lot because it's so big, as does the rim. The slate you hardly see. These you see a little bit, so just turn them down. And you basically just turn everything down a tiny bit. The sausages, that egg, the hash brown, the black pudding. The tea can be very smooth. Something like that. And now if we look at the thermometer, it should be something like 19-20%, like that.
Yeah, 21%.
20%. And if we go into play mode, like it doesn't really look any different.
No.
Like you don't have to spend it. It depends where you want to spend it, you know. So
another Khalif was asking, and I think a few other people as well, how you did the rim of the plate with those little symbols.
So those bits. Okay. So yeah. I knew I was going to have a pattern that repeated around the outside, so I made sure I made the plate in a orientation where it worked with the kaleidoscope. So if I go into it,
we'll be selling the John Beach China pattern on the store.
If I'm in kaleidoscope, you can see how the kaleidoscope is around the center of it, like that. And for that pattern, what I did was I turned this one up to maximum, which is 32. Choose that blue color. Go to paint mode, which will probably make me choose the blue colour again. No, it chose it. Put surface snap on and choose curve, and then I essentially did something along the lines of that, and I just sort of hand drew it, and it took a couple of times of me kind of like going, not quite right, almost, you know, that kind of vibe basically. The second one's the harder one because you've got to make it look like the first one.
Yeah.
But basically, that is
really pretty.
How I did it.
I'd use those plates.
And the edge of the plate is just a copy, the sort of, you know, we can do a cutout of the edge of the plate. So I used.
I don't think we didn't notice you put chips and stuff in it just to give it that extra layer of detail.
Yeah, see, it's important. And it's actually the whole plate is actually in that edge. It's just taken away.
Nice.
And then the chip I made, so the chip itself was matte. It's like another little piece in there. So you know, because it's broken ceramic, you know, so it doesn't have that nice smooth surface. It's cool to get the details.
I mean, if they were going to drop the cup at some point, they drop the plate. You know?
Exactly. But the plate's more expensive, so they were like, a chip. We can live with a chip.
This is what I love too. Like, no one's going to see those screws, but there they are.
Can you see them from the outside?
Yeah, it's important.
No, basically.
Partially.
The Biv was wondering about some sort of quick tips on using the colour wheel. Do you have any sort of tips on using that?
In what
kind of way?
What kind of way?
What kind of way?
What kind of tips are you after, particularly?
Well, I'll see what they say. Just checking for any other quick questions.
So this is what I like about Dreams is you
what
can
time
just
do you
have
eat
like
breakfast, John?
Oh my God, so many breakfasts.
You can have like a whole bunch
goodness.
of. I keep grabbing the steam. Steam. Like the rendering engine is Dream is so powerful that you can, you know, that's only 15% on 31. That added 15% on the gameplay.
Oh my God, so many breakfasts.
You can have all the breakfasts.
The Biv says they can never figure out the controls. The colour wheel.
The controls for the colour wheel?
Yeah.
Okay, let's try and explain as best I can. I've got the knife here, the handle. You hover over it. In fact, if you want extra control, just scale up your menu like this. So the outside here represents your colour, your tone you're going for. So if we want a green, we go to green, rather obviously.
Yeah.
But then the colour triangle in the inside is, on the right-hand side, is maximum saturation, i.e. as colourful as it can be.
Right.
And on the left-hand side is as little colour as possible. And then on the top, it's as bright as possible. And on the bottom is as dark as possible. So you can find every colour that that exists using this method. So
Yeah.
it's, you know, that the PlayStation can represent 14 million or whatever it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
So if you want like a dark greyish green, you head down towards the bottom.
He had meant the color selection wheel, the one that you're using to do the mixing.
Oh, right.
Oh, that
Oh,
one.
I see.
So where you're picking each color and putting it in a
colour.
color selector to give it a mix.
Yeah, so let's turn off Kaleidoscope because that will help us not look crazy. So when you open up your colour wheel here, you grab, on this case with R2, I think it's probably R2 with the DS4 as well, and you drag it into the mixed bit and you let go of it and it goes there. And then you drag in any other sort of selection of colours that you want. Let's go for like a whole rainbow cycle. And then you grab and rotate it by grabbing and moving it and then letting go, like flicking it.
Like actually, like physically.
And it can take a couple of different rotations. So at the moment it's rotating around the axis at a constant speed, but I'm going to add a faster rotation to the left as well. So now it's actually a combo of those two rotations, which means you're going to get a more random distribution.
Yeah.
Unless you happen to somehow perfectly make your left rotation exactly the same speed as your right rotation.
Yeah,
this will give
yeah.
you a much more random nuance. And so now it's going to paint in all the colours that I just chose.
Yeah.
Cool, make a wiggly worm. And it's just good to use that, especially if you're, like, I should have actually done it when I was doing the beans here and just have a slight variation on the beans, like a slightly lighter green, a slightly more colourful bean.
I see.
They would add variation. And the same on the burn bit here, I should have had like completely black, but then also bits of brown, so when you're painting it. It's really good to just add that tiny bit of colour variation without you having to actually put in a lot of effort.
Yeah.
And what's the shortcut you're using to open it on the moves?
On the moves is when you're in sculpt mode, you tap the bottom of the top of your right hand, your primary imp if you're left-handed, to the bottom of the other one. So your palette hand to your, when you've got a shape selected, when you're in a mode where you can select colour.
Cool.
Like that. So tap. if you can
Yeah,
see
we
that.
do have a video up of move shortcuts that you can find on In Dreams and on our YouTube.
Yeah, there's loads on InDreams.me. Super useful.
Yeah.
You should go check
Because
that
there's a
out.
ton of cool shortcuts.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, John, that's a great breakfast.
Thank you.
That was a great breakfast.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you for sharing it.
I'm
to
now
us.
My
hungry
pleasure.
for breakfast for dinner.
I'm really hungry now.
I'm going to shout out as well to Snags,
Lucid
Lucid
Stew.
Stew, and Dirty Harold's, who were the
Oh,
ones who
yeah.
challenged me to this, and their breakfasts were absolutely wonderful
Fabulous.
as well.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
Excellent breakfast.
Hugely inspiring to craft alongside our community. It's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's your third?
Third
Third
battle.
sculpt
I kind of
off.
walked into that one somehow.
You did, didn't
I was
you?
suddenly like, oh, I somehow agreed to this one, but yeah,
Yeah.
more to come.
Amazing.
Yeah, Seb was asking if the final games comes with a manual, but we're putting all of this stuff up on indreams.me so it's accessible for everyone. You don't have something you can lose in your living room. And
Get eaten by your dog.
Unfortunately, we can't pack a me with every game.
yeah,
No,
Stuff
yeah,
me
someone
in
did
there.
ask if we could send you to them, and I
Yeah.
think no,
On loan.
basically.
Yeah.
It's one of the many things. It's one of the only things we'll say no to is
Yeah.
sending
Yay.
John.
but we're also going to have
We
loads
need
of
him.
new like how-tos and tutorials
Oh, for
and
sure.
videos.
Yeah.
And
This
all that
year's
kind of
gonna be
stuff,
amazing.
So, yeah, it's
Yeah,
going to be
it's gonna be a big year.
lots of more things.
That was
Lots of more things.
lots of more things.
I don't know.
Love a good lot of
It's
things.
been a long year already. I think
It's
we're
been
only,
a long
we're only like a week in.
7 days.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Oh
As we mentioned at the top of the stream, we have the MPs coming up on
Yeah,
the 26th.
January 26th. So it's a Sunday. So like nobody needs to be at work.
Nope.
Maybe you do, but hopefully not. And you can join us. We'll be doing it at 5 p.m. But we'll have a secret pre-show, which is not secret because I just said it, at 4:30, where we talk about some of our favorite things from the year, some of your creations. And we'll be back on Thursday this week with a stream showing our favorite community creations of the
We've got a
New
lot
Year.
to dig into because we've been
Yeah.
away for a couple of
Yeah,
weeks.
we have. Yeah.
If you,
true.
when you're watching the MPs, if you too want to dress fancy with us, let us know. Send us a picture
We're going to be so fancy.
because we're going getting fancy. I'm excited. I'm very
yeah.
excited.
Yeah.
I hope
Yeah.
people will have MP parties like you have like Oscars parties.
man, yeah,
It'll be
that's a
so
great
good.
idea.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, Dreams comes out on February 14th.
Happy
If you don't have it,
Valentine's
you can
Day.
pre-order it now.
In
If you
your
do have it,
local
thank
stores.
you. You're awesome. Thanks for supporting us.
That was kissing, but it actually
was-
just looked like
That was
Very
disturbing, Tom.
Well,
The
if you all
cat's
agree
gone.
that was as upsetting as we do, we're gonna end the stream now with probably an airstrike.
Yes.
And
Bye,
forget that ever
everybody.
happened.
See you on Thursday.
bye everyone. Thanks
have
for
a
tuning
good
in.
week.
John, thanks for
Bye,
breakfast.
everyone.
Bye.